Okay, today I am back here with Guns. This is our 5th day this week that he's been riding. He's doing better. His patience are improving. He's kind of getting the hang of what's expected of him here and a little bit of a routine, so that is all good. We are still starting with lunging him for a few minutes just to get kind of the edge off and to give him a chance to move his legs, warm up, and practice some respect. He has a habit of, when he stops, just sort of tossing his head around and tossing his head around just in reaction to any sort of contact. And I think just doing some lateral bending with him is going to help him be able to accept that contact and maybe loosen up and soften up a little bit. And as you can tell, as he starts in the circle, he's super stiff. He would like to carry his head and neck to the right and kind of be in a bit of a counter arc, even though we're going to the left. He's also got a little magnetism to our back gait, and he's a little bit distracted too. So you can see the drift in this horse already when I walk by the gate. So what I'm going to do to start working on that is at the walk is just shorten my reins up a little bit. I'm going to use a little bit of left leg and just a tiny bit of left rein. Just get some shape to his body that's more in the correct shape of the circle. Just a soft left bend does not have to be consistent. I can tell by just how he walks this circle, he's stiffer on the left side than he is the right. So I'm not asking for a ton here. I'm just using my inside calf, my left calf, just to push his body out of the circle. When he's in that counter bend, his head's going right, his hip's going right, and his rib cage is going to the left. So what I'm trying to do is use my inside calf and just push his rib cage back out to the right. That's going to be my starting point. There we go. So just looking for moments where I can get his rib cage back between kind of his shoulders and his hip rather than sticking out to the left side. And when I do that, his stride and his gait improves at the walk. His steps get more even. He's leaning really hard there, so he feels me pushing a little bit harder. And you could see the anxiousness, a little bit of resistance in his face when I do that. Because he's used to just taking a circle how he wants to take a circle. And even though it's not ideally correct, that's all he knows. So there's no punishment at this point when he does it wrong, and my expectation's really low. I'm not going to work on changing that for an hour. I'm just kind of introducing him to the concept. And then we're going to move on to some things that he knows. He's also a horse with a fair amount of energy, so I appreciate that he's willing to walk and work with me right off the bat, but sometimes these horses do better when they work a little bit. I'm going to go into the jog here. Just a soft squeeze. You can really see the drift. He's kind of speedy. And this is a horse that's used to just sort of riding the rail and using the entire arena and using the wall to steer himself straight and balance off of. So when he doesn't have that wall for guidelines and support, he's not really sure what to do with it. And where you see the changes in speed, I think in his mind, the first thing he wants to do is get back over to that wall because the wall's his comfort zone. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm looking ahead and I'm guiding him. I'm using mostly a direct rein, this left rein. Here he falls in a little bit, little left leg. Here, feel him speed up. So he would like to get over towards the gate and over towards the wall. I'm not super concerned about his speed. It's more of a steering and direction issue than it is this horse just wants to run. A lot of people will feel this horse speeding up and all of a sudden they're having an argument about, boy, I need him to slow down. As soon as he quits drifting and pulling towards the wall and the gate, he's going to slow down, because he's not speeding up because he's got so much energy he can't contain himself or he just wants to be a racehorse. He's using that speed to get some momentum to get where he wants to go, to get back to his comfort zone. So when you kind of understand the reason why, you don't have to take it personal when it's happening. You don't have to wonder why, oh my God, he's speeding up. He shouldn't be doing that. None of those things are in my head right now. I'm just making sure I'm doing my part, looking ahead, trying to sit fairly balanced on him, keeping a little contact on that left rein. And the whole time I'm going, there are things that I'm going to appreciate about him. He is trying to work with me and not against me. Soft squeeze. Every time I come over here, there's a pile of poo with 10 birds in it, and he rides right through those birds and could care less. So I'm thankful for that. So there's some things that might bother a horse that does a perfect circle that don't bother him at all. He's more concerned with just where he wants to go. He's not real concerned with the other horse. For this horse, working in a small circle is a higher degree of difficulty for him. He's used to being in a bigger area. So I also don't want to overwork that circle at this point. I don't want to make him hate his life. I also want to mix it in with some stuff that he can do well and get right, like riding down this long rail. Now, is it perfectly straight? Is it perfectly consistent? It's not. But again, this is week 1. Our goal is to work with the horse, not against him. He's just starting to learn to trust us, and we're just starting to be able to ask for a little bit more. And in a perfect world, I'd love him to jog consistent and steer perfect before I worked on his lope. But I also need to get some miles under saddle on that lope too, just to see where I'm at. Okay, so the transition is a little rough, but actually when we get loping here, this is a pleasant surprise. He's smooth. He's probably not been asked to hold that lope consistently, and because he's kind of left, right, fast, and slow, it's a little bit more of a challenge to stay with him and stay balanced on him. So if his rider wasn't an intermediate level or better, a few strides of this, and they're probably going to lose their balance some, and then that's going to be a reason for him to break gait too. But this, I'm super happy with this. If every training horse just came out and loped around like this with a decent gait, it'd make our job a lot easier. And I'm just going with him. I'm actually pushing on him a little bit to keep going. I'm not holding him back. I'm not slowing his speed down. I want to get a good feel for where he's at, because that's going to be my starting point. And to be honest, He's steering around just fine. He's pretty light on the bridle. He turns when I ask him to. Now I'm making a point to look ahead and to use some outside leg, but walk. But that was good. Comes right back down as soon as I quit pushing on him. He's willing to walk. Excellent. He's not rattled. He's not upset. He's huffing and puffing a little bit just from that 10 laps, small laps. We only used half the arena, 10 laps or so of lope, but that was good. And it's pretty easy to say, well, now how can you say that was good? It was inconsistent. It did not have a good transition. He kind of took off a little fast and then got slow, and then he broke to a jog sometimes. And I think what we like to do as human beings is we like to focus on all the worst parts. Because you know what? The worst parts are easy to find. And I think it makes us feel smart when we can identify something. And it's easy to identify the worst parts. It's a little bit more of a challenge to find the good parts. But for me, for the starting point for this horse being 8 years old, green broke, he's been raised and trained by amateur owners. They have had him since he was a weanling and just been riding him around the farm. So even though he hasn't had any formal education, the great part about that is this horse has just been rode in all conditions and around all sorts of stuff, and they just expected him to ride and carry them around, and horses get broke really quick like that. So now we're going to see what we've got to the right. Now we know to the right our steering's not quite as good, right? Because this horse drifts to the left. When we were in our small circle to begin with, going to the left, he drifted towards the center. He really likes to have his rib cage left. So the good news is going this direction, his bend is correct. His head's more to the right, his hip's more to the right, his rib cage is more to the left. So we've got that nice arc. But it allows him to kind of use that to his advantage and drift to the outside. And sometimes when we go to make a turn, he doesn't go through the turn, he just continues to drift. So I'm going to just head into the jog here. So soft squeeze. And I've only ridden this horse a handful of times, so less pressure is better to start with. Actually, starting off, that jog was really nice. Gaits are good. When we first got on this horse and went to make any sort of turn to the right, we couldn't do it, or we'd have to pull really hard on the inside rein, and he's steering really well already, holding his speed more consistent. Where he wants to kind of put his head down and relax, I'm just going to follow that with my contact as long as he doesn't take advantage and really plummet with his head or pull me anywhere. I could redirect when he does that and kind of tugs on me and kind of makes his move towards the outside. That's probably going to be a lesson for another day. This horse has layers of things that we're working on, and it's good not to overwhelm your agenda for one day. Now, I can feel quite a bit of drifting this way, so even though I've never loped this horse to the right, I feel like when I do, we might go scooting out to the side there, and I'm not sure how well we're going to be able to make this turn coming across the arena because we can see the drift right in the jog. So I'm not going to start in the middle where that drift is the heaviest. I'm going to start here. Just a soft inside rein, a little bit of leg, kiss. I'm going to sit back because I don't know what to expect. Not bad, looking way ahead because as predicted, coming across the middle there is a little rough. I'm pushing him on. So he kind of wants to get a little bit of a running start. I'm looking way, 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 way ahead. Soft squeeze and just riding through that. This is our starting point. Feel him build there. Looking farther ahead, almost half circle ahead. I'm pushing with my seat, my calf, just to get past that center point. Soft squeeze here. Feel him build a little bit. Looking ahead, way, way ahead. Now that turn was better. We're gonna walk. So just as predicted, the horse drifts pretty hard, but he is enough of a pushover by just looking ahead, having a plan. I could push him through those tough steering spots, and that was 4 circles. First 2 were a little rough, third one was better, fourth one was good. That's my walking point. He doesn't have a ton of stamina. He hasn't really been loping with his owners. His balance isn't as good as it could be because when I'm working to steer, his head's way off to the right and his body's going to the left. So I also don't want to get him tired, get him frustrated, and put him in a predicament where his balance isn't going to be as good either, and then have him lose some confidence in that. So that's why we did just a short lope, just so I could get a feel for what I had. Transition's pretty equal, left to right. Is it perfect? No. But it's fine. He doesn't, bolt off. He doesn't kick out. He continues to move forward until he finds the gate. That's the lope. He takes his leads pretty equally left and right, especially considering this horse has so much drag to the left. He took that right lead fine. I'm on a circle, so that makes it a little bit easier, but still. And then when I quit pushing him forward into the lope, here he's walking really quiet and relaxed. So yeah, happy with that. Ooh. Hello. And even just when I stop the horse here, you can see just his body position, how he is. His butt's towards the middle, his shoulders, his front end are to the outside. You can learn a lot just in how your horse stands when they stop. And usually where there's a pattern, there's a problem. So if I walk forward and I stop him again, let's see. Not as bad that time. And so you guys have watched like the little bit of work that we've done here. And granted, he does have his full winter coat on, but this horse he's drenched just in about 5 minutes of jogging each way and a few circles of loping. So it's not like you have to work these guys for an hour. I think you need to be conscious of physically what shape they're in. It's just like us. If we start going to the gym, shorter sessions probably better, rather than just going in there and killing yourself, and then the next day you're so sore you can't move, and then you're not really looking forward to going back. And I'm sure that's the same for them. Just because they are obedient and they keep going doesn't mean that they always feel their best. Good news, Hannah, it's not crazy. It's the transition, like the trot and then the lope, but he's super smooth to lope, so doesn't do anything naughty. I think it'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. Well, and I didn't pull my spurs off, so I wanted to be conscious that I wasn't going to be spurring him to death. Not like a lot of leg, like a press like Doug, but you have to kind of kick him past the jog to get him to the lope. So, and it's super bouncy. Like, it's one of those that you probably, not that you'd fall off, but some of these I'll just hold with one hand as long as they're steering. Just hold the saddle horn just till I get him past that, just so you don't bounce right off. But no, it's not bad. Good boy. That'd be awesome. Oh my God, he's so sweaty. And then we'll just tie him up. We won't put him back out. You stink.
I know, he smells so bad when
Doesn't
he's
he?
sweaty.
And that's even after Alex washed him Sunday. Well, now like sweat's just in the fur, so we'll probably have to give him another bath next week. All right, I'm just gonna leave.